In the video, what motivated the officer to make a false arrest? Well, I think it's pretty clear cut. I think we're all going to recognize what we see constantly on the internet. They make the arrest for what? Well, we'll talk about it. Why do they do it? Well, we'll talk about that too.
We are in the city of Reno, Nevada, right off of West 2nd Street and North Virginia Street. Looks like we have Reno PD, multiple vehicles. Of course, we're gonna walk up and see what's going on. First vehicle on the scene, 171-210-371. Vehicle is going to be occupied one. Hello, how's it going, Gaudier? Pretty good, man. What's going on out here? It's going to be additional vehicle 072-200-272. It's going to also be occupied one time. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, what's going on out here? Nothing? Excuse me? Step away from your vehicle. Okay, this is our vehicle, actually. The city's vehicle. Okay? Also, when you're dealing with public, I'm recording for my safety as well as yours. This is Officer Hoyt with the Reno PD. How you doing?
Something I can help you with?
No, you jumped out your vehicle. I mean, I didn't.
Why are you interfering with our investigation?
Interfering? That's a physical thing. I'm walking on a public sidewalk recording you during the course of your duties. What are you talking about?
Place your hands behind the back.
Okay.
Arrested for every bad cop's favorite go-to charge of obstructing. Obstructing an investigation, hindering, delaying, or obstructing governmental operations. Boy, if that isn't dystopian. Arresting innocent people for obstructing an investigation or interfering with governmental operations is systemic without regard to the agency, the jurisdiction of the agency, or the title that their officers wear. What in the world could have motivated this officer to do something so stupid that it did lead to his firing? I mean, what is this all about? And you know, I was going to show other videos to drive home the point I'm trying to make until I watched this one. And I realized that this embodies pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about in regard to why police do some of the things that they do. So let's get started with this. This is nuts.
Vehicle is going to be occupied one. Hello, how's it going, Gaudier? Pretty good, man. What's going on out here? It's going to be additional vehicle 072-200-272. It's going to also be occupied one time.
You know, it's remarkable how quickly this officer escalates everything. He clearly doesn't like to interact with the public. This ongoing antithesis that the police have in this country to being held accountable, I mean, it's outrageous. He should have attempted to foster a relationship. And police have to stop acting like everybody who approaches them to talk, maybe ask questions, or to give them some information of criminal activity, that those people automatically pose a threat. Giving the public the cold shoulder and sending a very strong and loud message that police are no longer approachable. Okay, this one officer has convinced how many people never to approach the police. They are public servants paid with public tax dollars. Their job is to be approachable. Good grief, you know what I'm about to say should be common knowledge among the police, although it seems highly doubtful. The longest and strongest relationships between the public and the police are the daily face-to-face contacts. You can look into people's eyes. You can get a measure who they are. You shake hands. You even get to know them on a more personal level. Get to know a little bit about families and what's going on in their life. And you know, you never know what you're going to see or hear. And it isn't just a matter of the officer getting out of the damn cruiser and making personal contact. And you know what? I hope I made a friend. That could actually give them information on someone who, well, they might want to be aware of or wary of. There are untold benefits to making personal contact. And I know exactly what a patrol officer is going to say. Oh, I don't have time for that. I'm running from radio call to radio. Well, stop it then. Someone better tell upper level management that they need to start making time for officers to foster personal relationships. Otherwise, not only are things never going to improve, they're only going to get worse. When I was a really young and new game warden back in South Dakota, I had an Old Salt law supervisor tell me something that turned out to be one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from a professional and personal standpoint. He said, Dave, you said you only checked 100 today, and you kind of saw it as a waste of time. You didn't just contact one person, because that person went and told a whole bunch of other people about the contact he had with the game warden. What I'm saying, and I wish every police officer would understand, is that every contact has a force multiplier or a contact multiplier. Because people will talk to other people, whether it's friends, relatives, school, at the place of work, the church. People talk. Are they going to spread the love about the officer, or are they going to spread the hate for the officer? And guess who decides that? Guess who most affects that reputation? Yeah, that's right. The officer carries that burden. I want to end the video with this. Back in South Dakota as a young game warden, I used to make it a point to stop in at the rural cafes, sometimes for breakfast, sometimes for lunch, sometimes both in the same day. And why did I do that? Because it was usually a PR, public relations, bonanza. I would be sitting at the booth. They may have already served me my food, and before I could pick up a fork, somebody would come in, see the game warden sitting there in the booth. Didn't matter if they knew me or not, because I was approachable. You know how you're approachable? Body language, smiling, saying hi or good afternoon or good morning. Something that every decent human being is supposed to know innately. And now that I'm thinking on it, I don't know if there was a time where only one person stopped and plopped down the booth where I was. It was pretty much two or more. It would stop and plop down the booth where I was and talk for an hour. Could be local landowners. They'd come in, see me, hey, Dave, if they knew me, hey, Dave, and they'd plop down at the booth where I was, and my food would just be sitting there. It would get cold, and I didn't care. Although I will say that there were times where the restaurant or cafe manager, well, they knew what was going on, because we knew everybody. We knew each other. And after, I'd still be sitting there, and after whoever it was had plopped down had left, they'd come over, do you want it warmed up, or we could bring you a fresh hot plate of food? And I never asked for it. I said, whatever works best for you folks. But anyway, it could be, a couple of local landowners. But I remember there was one particular day. It was Easter Sunday. And of course I was working. It's all I ever did was work. And if I wasn't out there on my own volition, the phone was going to ring. I was going to get called out. So I was out working, and I'd stopped for lunch this Easter Sunday, and I'm at the booth, and in comes this rather large family, the kind that has to slide two tables together to accommodate everybody in their party. So they walked in, and I knew them. That's a story I could tell a different time, but I knew them, and it was a okay relationship. But hey, Dave, how you doing? Well, and then they plopped down at their tables, and so they served me my food, and I start to eat it. And I know their names. I remember them very well. I just don't feel it would be appropriate to say it right now. But I'd gotten a couple of forkfuls of food in me, and I heard, hey, Dave. And I looked over and I said, hey, yeah, what? And why don't you come on over here and break bread with us? You wonder why I'm so impassioned about this. Approachability. Because without approachability, law enforcement's lost. It's adrift. It's a rudderless ship. And all it's going to do is cause dissension. It will grow the disconnect instead of growing positive relationships. Another Easter Sunday is almost upon us. There happens to be some of you go into a rural cafe and you happen to see the local game warden sitting there in a booth. And assuming they're approachable and you have a fairly good relationship, Maybe you could invite him over to your table to break bread together. Maybe.